Welcome to my new video. Today I will present you the tasks and skills of an RPA developer. Have fun! I will first show you and explain the tasks of a RPA developer. The first task is, clarify any confusion in PDD with business analyst and update PDD. For each process that is to be automated, the business analyst, together with the SMEs, will create a PDD that lists all the steps that the bot should carry out later. After the PDD has been created and approved, the RPA developer will read through the PDD and see whether all the steps are clearly shown and which steps cannot be automated. If any steps are missing or unclear, developer passes the open points on to the business analyst so that the business analyst can clarify them with the SMEs and update the PDD. When the PDD is ready, the developer can continue with the next step. The second task is, create effort estimation for the bot. Using the PDD, the developer will create the effort estimate for the bot, to see how many days the implementation will take. There are several factors to consider here. The number of steps in the process, the number of applications used in the process, the number of decisions in the process, how is the structure of the input, for example whether the data is structured, or whether it is unstructured and not easy to get. Whether OCR is necessary for the process, for example to read out a PDF file. How many work queues does the process need? Based on this effort estimate, the business analyst can calculate the costs and time for the implementation of the bot, and pass these on to the SMEs. The third task is, implementation. We have the PDD ready. We have chosen a tool to use to implement the bot, for example, UiPath, Prism, Automation Anywhere or another tool. The implementation takes place in the tool that we have selected, with reference to the created PDD. Depending on the task to be automated or the kind of automation required, there may or may not be coding required. But there are humongous amounts of scenarios where you do not need coding at all. At the end of the implementation, we have a bot that can run the process like it was done manually before. The fourth task is testing. This takes place after implementation. Here we see the life cycle from implementation to go live. There are two different tests that are done before the bot can go live. UAT, for user acceptance test. This is done right after implementation, to make sure the bot is doing what it needs to do. PRT, productive run test. This takes place after deployment on the productive machine. I will now talk in detail about the two tests and show the differences between the two tests. I will introduce you the following differences between the two tests: when, where, how, who, system, and exception. UAT takes place after implementation, but PRT after deployment. You can see that in the chart below. UAT will take place on a test environment where the case was implemented, but PRT on the productive environment, where the case is to run later. UAT is carried out twice. Once manually by the developer in the studio. The second time from the scheduler, without the developer clicking anything in the studio. This ensures that the bot runs exactly, as it should later run on the productive machine, because the bot behaves differently if the bot is started manually or from the scheduler. Because the PRT runs on the productive machine, the test can only be started from the scheduler. However, this will usually take a few days, depending on how extensive the process is. The following people will take part in the UAT: developer, business analyst and the SMEs. Nobody will take part in the PRT, because the bot is started on the productive machine, without anyone having to do anything on the bot. The bot is started by the RPA controller. When the run is finished, the developer will prepare the results and pass them to the business analyst, so that the business analyst can forward the results to the SMEs. The SMEs check the results, and report back to the business analyst. If the process has test and productive environments, the UAT takes place in the test system and the PRT in the productive system. But if the process only has productive system, then both tests take place in productive system. If the UAT throws system exceptions, these should be fixed by the developer, and the UAT takes place again, until the bot no longer has any exceptions. Bot also needs to be fixed and the UAT has to be repeated, if the bot does not work properly as it is supposed to be. If the bot throws system exceptions at the PRT, these must be fixed by the developer. Then a new UAT will take place, and if the UAT is successful, the PRT will take place again. Task 5, Maintenance. The bot is now live and runs on the productive machine. The RPA controller is responsible for starting and monitoring the bot. Controller informs the developer if any problems occur. He sends the bot's logs to the developer. The developer will fix the bot based on the logs. The logs usually list the steps where the problem occurred. The developer will fix the case and create a release. He sends this release to the controller, so that the controller imports the release. If necessary, the controller starts the bot again. Task X, implement a change request. Over time, there may be new requests that the bot should carry out. This requires an adjustment to the bot. This adjustment is called a change request. For a change request, a new document should be created that is analogous to PDD, but only contains the new requirements. The developer can use this document to implement the adjustments. After implementing the change request, the developer performs UAT and a PRT. These are the main tasks of RPA developers. Now I will briefly show you which skills an RPA developer should master in order to apply for an RPA developer position. RPA developer should have a strong attention to the details and analytical skills. This helps him to implement and stabilize the process precisely, because a bot could have many scenarios that a normal employee who works manually with the process cannot simply observe or recognize. Developer should have technical knowledge of an automation tool or several tools, because his main tasks will be in an automation tool. He should also master the basic knowledge of programming, because not every step can be automated directly with the tool, but with a code. So he shouldn't be a programmer, but he should have basic programming knowledge. It is an advantage if the developer is familiar with one or more of the following programming languages: C#, Visual Basic, VBA, HTML, CSS or SAP GUI scripting. The knowledge in the databases can be of great help to the developer because the processes mainly use data. The developer should be able to work with the databases in order to extract, edit and process this data. Developer should have experience in developing and consuming APIs. Experience with Agile development methodology is an advantage. Knowledge of artificial intelligence and machine learning is helpful, because RPA should not only cover the manual processes, but also processes that are more complicated and irregular. Understanding of workflow-based logic. This is the most important skill for a developer, because every process has the logic of workflow, and is built according to this logic in the automation tool. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please don't forget to like and comment. See you in the next video.